Welcome back to another SuperCoach video with me, JD. You're joining me for the round 8 review where I scored a 2190 and I moved just back into the top 2K, but boy, it's been a bit of a disaster round with the injuries, 5 sub. I feel like I copped it worse than most. I stuffed up trades last minute as well. So yeah, I had a really good weekend, but unfortunately I play SuperCoach and that kind of took away from the enjoyment of the weekend for me. So I'm going to start this with a warning. If you have high blood pressure, if you are at risk of stroke, probably tune out right now because you are going to get the sodium intake required for the next month in probably the next 15 to 20 minutes of this video before I hit end on the record and go from there. I am not in a particularly rational state of mind and I'm on tilt. Yeah, definitely on tilt. With that said, I'm going to try and read baseline myself. There is a quote from Game of Thrones that I think someone replied to a Twitter post of mine with a GIF. It reminded me of the quote, which is that who is it? It's like Littlefinger and Varys that are talking, and Varys talks about like the chaos of the pit or something, and Littlefinger goes like, "Chaos isn't a pit. Chaos is a ladder. Many who try to climb it fail and never get to try again. The fall breaks them." And some are given a chance to climb but refuse. And we are neither of those groups. We both play this crazy game that is SuperCoach, which means we invite the chaos in and we are not going to let the chaos break us. So we are going to try and navigate the best we can. We'll talk through it quickly. I'm probably going to go because it's late. I need sleep. I've got a big work week ahead. That's nuts. So I'm probably going to go light on my player by player review. I'm not going to talk about it in tons of detail anyway because I want to get more to like what do we do with these players, and I want to fiddle around with my trades, which I haven't got a chance to do yet either. So let's get stuck in. Now, firstly, what were the trades I did last week? I did execute the get out Marshall, get out Steele, and I held Williams over Cadman, and I was going to get in Merritt, Sarong, and Sweet. So Sweet, obviously, we brought in 74, good enough. Get rid of Marshall. Marshall had a good bounce back week. Actually, most of the rucks did, to be honest. But fielding Sweet over some of these other rookies to get another premium on, I think is probably still the right call. And Steele, while he ended up scoring okay, looks injured. So getting Merritt and Sarong in, and Sarong scored a 137, was actually like net positive trade. However, with the news that Fife was sub on, today, I decided to get out of Sarong, get Baker in, and put Fife to the bench here. This ended up losing points with how Sarong scored, and how Baker scored. This was probably the right move, but this needed to be Dylan Moore, not Fife, and then it would have been just perfect. But yeah, it didn't help that then Closey, the rookie I brought on for Fife, also scored poorly. So I got 26 points there, plus 60s, 86 versus Sarong's 137. So yeah, lost out 51 points or whatever that was. The quick math on that was shocking, just shocking. It's so bad. And I'm stuck with Liam Baker. Why Liam Baker? I mean, he'd scored like only 90s and a 140 up until this week. He had the CBA role, and with no Hopper and Taranto playing against Freo, where he's potentially getting $1 million contract, thought this would be a big game, and he played okay, but geez, had some stuff not go his way in that game. So I felt like he played better than this score, and like he should bounce back. But yeah, this is pretty painful. I'm not gonna lie, this is pretty painful. Because yeah, Dillmore has a worse role, but he's scoring much better, and they've got probably a game they can win this week in the Saints. I probably didn't have them beating the Dogs, but hey, Bevo sucks. So what you gonna do? All right, let's start out with the bright spark for the week, which was Luke Ryan. And to be honest, my weekend was so far gone at this point that it was really hard to enjoy it. But yeah, 197. This is huge. It sucks if you're a non-owner. I'm sure we'll get questions like, do you bring him in? He's 644k, which is pretty bloody expensive. The Swans this week that he's got are not exactly like the easiest matchup, but then he's got the Saints the week after, which he was gone huge on in the past and probably could go huge on again. given he will have the low break even of 64 this week, I think if you want Luke Ryan and you've got like a Yo or something like that, you probably just have to get him. Dacos, I've been flagging for a while probably to jump on him. Even though he'd been having, good half, bad half, whatever, it looked like he was good value at his price, and yeah, lived up to that this week. Still, I mean, he's getting pricey now, but West Coast this week, so yeah, I think you can still jump on him. Sheasel looks like a bit of a role change here with McKercher coming back to the front, and boy, I wish I followed through with my McKercher trade last week. Holy moly! Yeah, that's. I mean, against the Saints, is what you expect, but far out. Gold Coast were abysmal. Abysmal's not a word. Abysmal. So I don't know. We'll see. This, like, if you have no other problems, if you dodged everything, I guess you could look at trading out Sheasel, especially to someone like a Luke Ryan if you don't have him. So he had a light groin injury, which may or may not be serious. If he's missing time, anything more than a week or two, I'm probably just trading, to be perfectly honest here. Break even at 125 is not too bad. So, like, you could come back and see one game, but given his history, like, he's going to have to be managed now, and he's more susceptible to future injuries. So, where he's priced at, I've got a 113 average out of him, 155k. I think I just, like, take my winnings here and run. Use my last boost on trading out the injury. Martin continues to be good. We like Martin. Roberts, down game here. Lowest time on ground game for the year here, which was, yeah, rough. Break even of 107, which is definitely up there. I think he's only had one game above that now. And Frio this week, which have been pretty easy to score on from a defender perspective. So even though I think you could trade Roberts, and I may play around with it, he's also one of the few rookies I'm like somewhat confident having on field despite the poor score this week. So I don't think he's a trade for me. But yeah, once again, if you have no other problems, you could definitely look at moving him on. Oh, he might be a trade for me. We'll see. Williams. So this looked like a brilliant hold at halftime, where he was on about this score, about 60 or something, like high 50s at halftime. He got injured in Q3. Quad, I think it was. I can't remember. But anyway, he got subbed off, which was sucky because he looked like I was going to be rewarded with a ton for holding him. I did not get a ton. And it also meant that I then put on Roberts on the field rather than taking the 60, because like a 75, an 80, if he finished on that, I would have just taken it and benched Roberts. I was worried about him playing in the rain anyway against GWS, but far out, that sucks. So I lost 10 points. That's a double whammy, and he probably needs to be traded now. He's also not useful as a loophole at all this week because they play the Thursday night game against the D's. Into the midfield, so Merritt, good. A little bit worrying how much small forward he played here, and against GWS, which is a tougher matchup this week, doubly concerning. So, yeah, I don't know. Kind of traded. I think George posted a video about, like, I traded in a half forward. I traded in a small forward this week. Hopefully, he can keep kicking 3 goals a game, and then this won't be a problem. With the Sarong out move, who was originally my captain, I went to Bond. So I got +5 points on that, which is good, and he played pretty well. Still doesn't seem to be all there, but this is his top score for the year now, I think. Yep. So if you don't have Bont, I think he's at pretty much bottom price now, 623k, 111 break even this week against the Tigers is very achievable after what we saw the Freo midfielders do to them this week. So yeah, Bont's an option. Butters scored well. Rosie injured, sucks for Donos. What's his break even? 148. If you don't have Butters, you can wait probably one more week against Geelong, given their their midfield's not the toughest. But then yeah, after this week it's Hawks and North for Port. So if you don't have Butters, it's next couple of weeks. Dawson, just okay. Yeah, just okay. Look at this. Look, he's going down on a steady slide here. We want to reverse this trend here. Played more forward than what I would have liked to have seen, so that's pretty worrying. I mean, he outscored Walsh for a second week in a row, who would have been the other option, and he was cheaper, but this is not good. So hopefully they fix up something here. This Brisbane matchup I don't love, but then Collingwood and West Coast, the two after that, should be fine. One of the reasons I picked up Dawson is this run here is pretty good, because then you've got, after West Coast, you've got Hawks, Richmond, and then Sydney in the lead up before the buys. But after this Hawks Richmond run, like, I can trade him at this point anyway. Lots of Adelaide Oval games here, so the fixture's good, even if the roll is a bit cooked. All right, Tom Green. We may as well start talking about some of the injuries now. I mean, I've kind of already mentioned, but like Yo, I think you probably just trade unless he's like playing this week, or it's like, yeah, I don't know. Even then, I'd consider trading. Williams, yeah, we'll have to see what they say. If he's playing this week, I'd probably keep. If he's not, I would trade. And Tom Green, it sounds like it's not too bad. So he's just a keep. He's already lost the money. He's 540k. If you don't own Tom Green, he is like top of the list very soon. Um, he's oh, maybe you bring him in like after his bye because it'll still be cheaper even if he has a couple of bounce back games. Essendon this week haven't actually been that easy to score on because been good at stoppage. So yeah, yep, yeah. Maybe just wait until after his bye and pick him up against Hawks or something. He should score well against Bulldogs if he's fit. We'll see. I mean, if he misses 1 week, I'm holding. He'd have to be gone for probably 2 weeks, and if he was gone 2 weeks, it means he's missing 3 of the next 4, including the buy, and I'd probably be happy to trade him then. But if it's just 1 week or he plays this week, I'll hold. If he plays this week, though, I might. I don't know. We'll see. It because it sounded like there was no structural damage, and it's just a pain thing more than anything else. So, yep, this sucks, but whatever. I mean, you cop these. You just like it just happens. The 5 sub was a management thing, but he'll be back and playing this week. It's a tough matchup, but he is going to be held, of course. God, this forward line is absolute garbage looking. All right. The Gold Coast guys, yeah, they got smashed by Brisbane, to be honest. And Closey gave away 50 early, which had his scaling from the jump. But they play North this week, so I think you hold both of them and you can probably field them as well. 58 break even is achievable, 12 break even is achievable. So against North, you hold both those guys. Ken McAuliffe, look, he played a very good game in the twos, but unsung hero for the team because he's looped on a Wilson 126 after a Reed 147 a couple weeks back. So, Kane, love your work this week. Being sub bad, looping on good scores, great. Wilson, I said it last week. I think I've said it a couple of times, but he's just really good. I really like the way he plays. Hawks this week should be able to deliver another big score, to be perfectly honest. And his break even's down -25, and he's already made 200k. So, absolutely stunning rookie for us. And yeah, he'll be one that I'll probably try and find a way to get on field this week. Like I'd probably rather field him than Tom Powell, although North play Gold Coast, it's a battle of who cares. Garcia's like did some okay things, but I don't know how good his job security is in the side and whether he plays much longer. To be perfectly honest, his break even's 13 now, and he's made 75k. Once again, if he holds against the Hawks, he'll at least made 100k, and that's like honestly not too bad. And then surprise of the week, Jack Clark came in and wasn't sub. So with Danger out for, I don't know, 4 to 5 weeks, whatever it is, came in, played the game of his life. 78. He's not only made 1.6k this week, big money maker, but he's reset his break even to -1. So yeah, Jack Clark, play some games. I mean, against Port this week, no good, but anyway. Oh, if you're a Rosie holder, what do you do with Rosie? So let's have a look. I feel bad for you all because this is one that I would love to target at some point. 153 break even, and once again, we talked about these 2 good matches. Now, I assume they'll actually be precautionary with the hamstring this time, which means you're going to miss the games, right? There's no way they make the mistake twice. So they've got the round 13 bye. You've got Geelong, Hawks, North. That's 3 weeks. Then maybe they play Carlton, and then he has the bye, and then you've got GWS afterwards. And even Brisbane aren't the best to score. So I think this is a trade, to be honest. It's really hard because you have already lost the money. Maybe if he was going to be back for the North game, so 2 weeks, it's 1-2. Maybe if it's 1-2, then you could consider holding, but that's tougher. So I think that's probably just a trade straight up. Yeah, rucks as I talked about, like basically every ruck scored well this week. I think Meek scored well. He had a 106, so yep, he continued to make money. Marshall had like a 120, I want to say. 107 close. English was everywhere, dropping back into half back to help. Went forward, kicked a goal, 135. So he's been good the last few. Maybe English over Marshall a few weeks back was the right move because English had a 58 while Marshall had his big game, and then ever since like English had been turning up, Marshall's been absolute spud. Apart from this week, and once again, Dogs have got Tigers this week, so yeah. But yeah, Sweet's better than these other on-field rookies. Going to make money, so we're fine with this. And Gorn had a down game, kind of had a good fourth quarter to bring it all together. Against the Blues rucks this week, I would be very confident in a big score if there was no pit net, if it was just like TDK. But against Pitto as well, I'll have to have a check to see how restrictive he's been. But I feel like it's slightly harder. And with the Blues midfield, it does mean that like less hit out to advantage on available there for Gorn. So he's definitely still a strong VC target this week, but I don't know if it's as like obvious as others. Forward line, Heaney is good. Flanders is good. Moved into the midfield for this game. Baker had that midfield role. Already go over that. It's just going to make me upset if we talk about it again. And Reed, I mean, what a great rest they did for him because he's come back so refreshed and dropped his worst SuperCoach score, or second worst SuperCoach score of the year. Worst since round 3. So, amazing. Amazing. Collingwood, though, a little bit better midfield for him to match up on, and especially like his body and size actually like bullies some of those guys. So still continue to field Reed. Yeah, Fife should be back this week. Break even 102 now, which is freaking annoying. And then Powell here. But this is like the midfield's kind of filled out, and I kind of don't like it. Harley Reid could be a trade after this week. We'll see. Oh yeah, and then Darcy we fielded over some of these other guys. 49 rough. But Richmond this week, once again, we'll back that in. And then Dempsey, break even at 54, but Port match up this week, which is tough. So we'll see. I think played more wing this week. Okay. So what do we do this week and who are we targeting? All right. Some interesting ones. So I should give up on trying to figure out what Bevo's doing. I mean, I kind of already have. So Richards did not really go back into defense this week. He kind of continued to play on ball. And my big concern about Dale was with if Richards moves back into defense. He didn't, so Dale went well again. And they've got Richmond this week, which is the easiest matchup for defenders we've just saw with Luke Ryan. So Bailey Dale could very easily go huge again this week. And if I'd known that Richards wasn't going to move back, I probably would have got him last week, to be honest, just given his price. Oh, this is dreadful. Yeah, this is really bad. He's made a lot of money now. He made 75k this week. Oh God. So do you trade him in? I don't know. I actually don't know. I really don't know because I mean I could trade Yo down to him and make some money, but like Dogs just got embarrassed by the Hawks. That was what Hawks' second win for the year, and they've looked terrible. So how many weeks until Bevo gets fired and they fix the roles, and does that kill Bailey Dale? Is he season long keeper? Are there better options? Probably. I probably don't touch him. If he's still for 50k, then sure, but 530 is like not so. All right, so premium defender solutions. I think like Ryan, Dacos, and Martin are all good, and then I think you have to look at Houston still. He dropped a little bit of money this week with a 93, so he's first sub-ton of the year, and his break-even's up around 145. Geelong's a tough matchup, so you can wait again, but he's got the good buy, and then after this week, they've got North and Hawks and North the next two, and he can be a little bit of a flat track bully, Houston. So don't mind those matchups. And then you got Tom Stewart, who I like as well. Break even 132, which once again could lose a bit of money, and against Port, which is once again one of the tougher matchups. But at 523k, absolute bargain. So I think I'd rather have Stewart over Dale, for example. Haven't considered the buys or anything too much, but yeah. Gold Coast after this, which should be all right. GWS will be a harder matchup. And then Tigers before his buy as well. So that's pretty nice in Tom Stewart's fixture. In the midfield, I mean, the option I wanted this week was Sarong. Didn't get him, and he's gone up 18k, which is painful. Break even 87, which he'll definitely hit. So I think Sarong's probably a big target for me still this week. I like his buy. The matchup, I mean, Saints midfield hasn't been good. Collingwood midfield hasn't been good. So those two are fine. And Melbourne should be all right as well, to be honest, with how they're travelling. So I think Sarong's a good option. Swans this week's probably a bit tough, though. And honestly, I probably expect some row bottom attention. Yeah, we'll see about that. And then Oliver is one we probably have to talk about, Old Clary. So had a 141 on the weekend. And I think the big news here is he had an interview saying that his hand feels better. And that was really inhibiting him. So at this price, he's probably worth a bit of a gander, to be honest. Just sub 500k, which is crazy cheap. So even if he ends up getting pushed out to like M9 at some point, I think Clay and Oliver is probably a good bring in. So Sarong and Oliver, Stewart, Houston, they're probably my top 4 options. Just speaking out loud. Ruck's I'm not going to touch once again because of Sweet. And then in the forward line, I guess the only one that's I think probably worth talking about is Dillmore. So it looks to be playing at half forward role and then pushing up. And he's now had three big scores in a row. So a 140, a 136, and a 116. 3 round average of 131. Went up 60k this week. So yeah, I mean, Moore and Dale over the last couple of weeks would have been nutso. And he's looking like he's in top six forward form. Looks good to the eye. They got Saints this week, which is another winnable matchup, with just with how the Saints have been traveling. Although those like Saints tend to play back half games, and that could hurt someone like Moore. I don't know. We'll see. And then Port after that, which is hard, tougher, and Brisbane looks like they found a little bit of form. So I don't know. I think I'm still off more, but like obviously I should have gone him over Baker just with how the weekend's panned out. Already got an 80-point head start. Okay, so I think the other thing really to talk about here is like what are some of the rookies, which I'm not even sure if I'm going to be looking at them, but I should be aware. So McCurch already mentioned he seems to have the Sheasel role now, with Sheasel moving more into the midfield. I think you can consider bringing him in if you're going to be fielding him as well, but you've already missed the best matchup in the Saints, although Gold Coast could be fine, to be honest, especially with how Zorko scored this week. Oh, I'm not going to mention Zorko. Like, all the same flags as problems as always. I assume he only actually even played halfback because of Starcevic or whoever it was that went down in just before the game started. Darcy Jones looks great. He would be in the top of the rookie list. He's seemingly already moved past Thomas, so they moved to sub this week and looks pretty electric. So Darcy Jones, I think, is a reasonable downgrade rookie option if you're looking for cheap. Otherwise, like Peatling's kind of interesting. He's played 2 midfield games now and actually scored well, but we've had Cogs out and then Green injured across these two. So with Cogs coming back, does he get moved to sub or another role? I think that'd be the concern there, but he's a forward, which is pretty nice. Windsor reset his break even. I'm sure a lot of people jumped off him. That sucks if you did. Rogers wasn't particularly good. I think that was always going to be the concern, but North this week should be able to put another good score together. Cal Stier, like probably not going to end up being relevant, although he could put together another good score this week. But for someone that supposedly wasn't ready for AFL, looked amazing. He interviewed after the game really well, and just like an awesome story. So big shout out to him. I know he's been on board with the Deer family for a while, especially with what happened with their father. So, good to see him make it at the level and look really good in his debut game. And then, like, Sullivan's probably the one to point out here. So he came on as a sub, I want to say about, I felt like it was in the second half, but he was like one of the top rated players in the second half in a close game, scored 75 points. So he's a watch this week, 102k mid. Looks like he could be a really good downgrade option if he holds. Hardiman's probably a pass, playing half back role. Bruce Revel looked all right, but I mean, I think he had really low time on ground, which is concern given that the Lions didn't have a bench. Okay, so if you need a downgrade option, I think it's Darcy Jones this week, or potentially like McKercher as well, depending on what you're looking at. Peatling, probably not. Okay, so what am I doing this week? Oh, I didn't touch on Powell, I don't think. Did have more of a midfield role. I haven't actually checked his CBAs. Have I got CBAs here? But he did seem to be playing more central midfield this week. Power 52. All right. This is still less than what it was. Probably okay enough to hold. Sheasel, yeah, because Sheasel came in and had more. Painful. Painful. Biggie getting dropped. Rough. Rough. Okay. Let's have a quick look at these break evens. 42.54. Not going to hit. He'll hit. So all these rookies look like they've still got more cash to make, to be honest. Williams, I mean, even this 47 is achievable for Williams if he plays. Roberts isn't. Okay, so what am I doing this week for trades? Okay, so I still think that the options I like the most is Sarong. And what if we just play around with getting rid of Roberts? And Oliver, just because of price. Even though the Carlton matchup is a brutal one to trade into. I could just do that and then no boost. Or I could boost. because I've got the cash. So let's just see what happens if we boost, you know? Almost every time I've boosted, it's ended in disaster, but let's just boost. Let's just see what happens. So I think Williams, that would be the one. Actually, could I hold... Oh, I could hold Roberts and trade Williams and do that. Okay, that's an option. Because, I mean, I do feel like getting Darcy Jones does kind of make sense. Just given, like, other downgrades aren't going to be particularly plentiful. Let's have a look. Do I get to have a look at... No, I don't get to see Sullivan play a second game before deciding on Jones. There's a problem with banking all this cash because I swapped trades last week. So what if I could do like a triple upgrade? Is that possible? Let's just like move out those three and we go Sarong, we go Oliver, and then 511k. I guess like more is probably too expensive. Not that I actually would want to. Yeah, he is. Okay, that's good. And Stewart's too expensive. Yeah, so I couldn't bring in Stewart if I was to do that. I could pass on Sarong, but he's the one with the low break even. So options here would be to do something like either not boost, which is possible, especially depending on what Yo's injury is. Because like if Yo's not injured that long, right? Like maybe it's those two, and I just do I've got to select a mid to trade out, do I? Say it's like Darcy out, and then what's his name? Jones in. Yeah, I've somehow broken it because I got Darcy Jones. But okay, so that's an option. Like, I get 2 upgrades done, and I don't lose any. Yeah, no joke. Why did you make me select him as one? So no boosting, definitely an option this week, depending on what happens with injuries. I think it's probably like very unlikely, but hey. Was Roberts the third one I had out? I think it was. And I actually have to put Baker into defense, which is crazy. I don't think I want to do that. I mean, maybe. So Sarong. I think it's Oliver. Feels wrong, does it not? It does. Oh wait, that's right. The option I was going to do here was to keep Yo. No longer. Oh, what? Like, why is it stuffing up? Yeah, this is the same bug I got into. All right. Let's try again. I'm not good at this, or at least I'm not mentally equipped for it tonight. All right, move Powell in there, and then we're getting Jones. And we'd be trading Dempsey, right? Powell goes back for Oliver. Where's my optimize button? See what it does. Oh, it's got Flanders C. It's a bold choice. Yeah, I mean, I guess this works. Like, its problem is like Darcy feels fieldable this week. Wilson's probably fieldable this week, although Utah's Hawks built different. And then choosing between Graham and Closey's hard. They both seem fieldable this week. But if Yo misses, then I've got cover here. If like Green misses, then I don't know what I do because I don't want to actually field any of these guys. I can probably put on Powell and then bring on Darcy, right? Yeah. So this works. Honestly, hopefully everyone's not injured and they all play this week and I can do something like this. All right, but I think I've kind of walked through like roughly what the plans will be, which is maybe Sarong, probably Oliver, and then like Houston I want. Please refresh. Please work. But like it can probably wait a week. Stewart can wait a week. I think his break even's like 130, so I can wait one more. Forwards, I still don't want to touch. Like Wilson and Darcy are good enough to field, and I'm probably not going on Dillmore now that I've missed the price rise, even though he's got two like 140s in his system. So painful when this is slow. But yeah, like this looks decent. Like Wilson and Closey are really the only two like rookies left on field. Oh, and Sweet, we can't forget about Sweet. And then we're just forced into one up, one down. But like that's fine because next week we'd be getting like Stewart. Anyway, what's the tracker at? Because I know he's a 127. All right, yeah, he can definitely wear one more. Because even though that 59's come out of his score, he's now put two sub tons together. So he's another one that can wait. So yeah, Petrarca could go in here. I've really only got one spot here, so like I'd love for it to be Houston, but it probably makes sense to be Stewart to initially begin with. Stewart, Petrarca, and then the forward line is, I guess, technically done unless I want to upgrade Harley Reid, which could happen next week if he puts in another poor score and doesn't look like he's capable. All right, let's quickly check buys because I think it is worth considering. So that's obviously not a problem at all, and probably one of the reasons why you can hold green because like it's an easy one to cover. Round 13, which is the easiest of the buys because it's just Port and Frere, and this is going slow again. So yeah, that's like very good. That's fine. And then we're going to get into the scary ones here, but having these backloaded isn't as problematic because with the extra trades, we can always side swap through them as required. So yeah, there's a chance Yo goes to someone earlier if he's injured this week. Martin, Merritt, Oliver, Flanders, Reed. Yep, that's like honestly, that's not too bad. And Gone. I feel like that's not too bad. And then last buy. Probably no, they're all fine. Like honestly, my buy distribution seems okay. No worry about that. No worry about that. One mid I probably should have looked at is Dunkley. Whether he's worth considering this week. Obviously had a big game. Best score of the year. Helps they all had pumped up Tog. Oh, they've got Richmond and Hawks next too. Which buy? They got 12. They got the early buy. And we're fine with the early buy. So it could go, I mean, because, yeah, like after these two games, you would expect he's not going to be achievable. So it's not like I can bring him in after here. So it's like now or like just don't go him. And Adelaide have been easy enough to score on as well. I'd have to see why he only scored 63 in this game last year. Okay. Interesting. All right. So another alternative. So maybe if I trade Yo, like I could bring in, if I traded Yo, could I bring in like Dunkley, Oliver, and Sarong and like just pump up the midfield? That's possible. Field, like Baker comes up here. I still field one of these two, and then Wilson comes to the forward line. Yeah, that works. All right, let's have a look at VCC this week. So we've got Livingston playing late, which is good. Everyone should have lots of options. Options we like this week. So let's think about easy matchups to begin with. We've got anyone playing Tigers that just seems to be gimme, especially if you're a defender or a midfielder. So Bontempelli C seems like a great backup here. I don't know what his history is like against them. Let's have a quick squiz. 153, 122, 136. So I think Bont C, we can back that up for a second week in a row. The games before that, though, I don't love any. Well, I mean, Dacos is playing after Bont, so you could VC Bont into C Dacos, I believe. But once again, West Coast mids have been too bad. If Yo's not playing, though, I think that does become an easy matchup. But yeah, so outside of Dacos, I'm not really considering any of these defenders. In the mids here, nope. I don't see any matchups I love. I mean, maybe if you had Deal still against the Hawks, you could consider that. I won't. So then, like, Gorn VC probably does become an option. Flanders against North, he could go pretty crazy there. So maybe it's a VC Flanders week. Whether he plays midfield or halfback, I think he could like score reasonable. So yeah, maybe it's VC Flanders into C Bont is the option this week. Or otherwise, it's like VC Gorn. I still wouldn't touch Clary into that Carlton matchup. VC Baker bounce back game. No, it's obviously the same one. Okay, so I think that might be the setup this week. Flanders into Bont is what catches my eye. Is there anyone else that like is popular people would have? Oh, I guess you've got Gold Coast mids. Like Noah Anderson against North, I think is a one that would be very strong. Maybe Rao not so much, but he could definitely bounce back this week. I'm sure he'll get a little bit of attention and speaking to this week. I got asked a lot how I'd prioritize the Gold Coast mids last week, and Noah Anderson was one I kind of had at the top of my list just because, like, in factoring in price, he's 565k, which is pretty crazy. It's like it's very cheap for I think what he can produce. I think the problem is they've got the same buy as like the round 14 buy, which is the tough one to navigate. He's still good value as well. Who are the top 8 mids though? Just have a quick look. Where's my mid filter? What am I missing? So Sarong, Merritt. Yeah, should have had them last week. Raul, I mean, he's going to drop price now. He's got the 65 in his system. 159 here. And he could honestly hit that against North, though. That's the crazy thing. Lost 20k. All right. Okay. Yeah, Cats. Carlton. I think I'm happy to fade that run. Walsh, I think, does fade off a little bit with the back. So let's have a look. I mean, this is what we've seen, like just steady decrease in each of these games. Cherabak as well, I don't think helps. So I'm happy to stay away from Walsh. So yeah, so Sarong we're happy with, Merritt we're happy with. I think Rao's probably top 8. Butters and Bont, we're both happy with being top 8. Neil and Dunkley is a bit tough to figure out because Neil has not looked good up until this week, but he then looked very good. And then the Lions run like is good the next 2 games after this. So I remember sleeping on Lions a little bit. Miller, I probably don't think gets there, but he could be close. Steele, I still think is injured, and honestly, like a 112 against North is just like not enough. So I'm still worried about that. Noah, I think he'll be just outside. Worried about all the Crows mid, so I don't think any of them get there. Libba's had a couple of tough weeks. He's pretty cheap. Has he got a massive break even now? 169. Let's have a look here. Yeah. I still wouldn't bring him in. So it's still really up in the air. I mean, a fit Tom Green could probably come back. Errol starting to find a little bit of form, I think. He's one post-buy, I guess you could consider as well. But they had that easy run early and he didn't fire. So I don't know. It's actually quite tough after the first few. So I'm probably, yeah, Sarong, Merritt, Rao, Butters, Bont. So who I think it more comes down to there's no obvious options here. Who's going to come strong on the run home? Is it Petrarca? Is it Oliver? Is it a Crows mid? Is it Rosie once he's fit? Is it Green? Is it Goulden? But I think the core of like if you've got Sarong, Merritt, Bont, Butters, and then probably Rao, you're happy with those 5, and then you probably want these 3 and then an M9. Or sorry, like three decent ones and an M9. So cheap Oliver, cheap Green, cheap Petrarca. Get some of these cheap guys. Get one M9 and start looping, I think. Yeah, this is tough. Very tough. See what happens with Yo. I mean, I'm happy with fielding. If it's just 1 week, I'm really happy fielding just closing Graham for 1 week and keeping you on the bench. If Green's 1 week, I don't want to field Garcia. I need to find a way to get someone else up here. I mean, I'll get the big VC going on Clark this week against the Cats. Oh, huge score potentially incoming. Could be crazy. And then forward line. I mean, honestly, like there's a chance that Darcy outscores Power this week. Because like, yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh, that's wild. All right, so that's the video this week. We've gone long enough. Hopefully that's given you some thoughts, some ideas, where my head's at, the targets I like, the downgrade options I like, and we'll keep cracking on. Even the trade outs have kind of gone to that vice captain. You got all the good stuff. I'm probably not going to be around a ton this week, but yeah, if might tweet the occasional inane thing, or you can find me on Discord as always. I'll try and get to comments this week, but can't promise. So yeah, thanks for viewing, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.